Hello and welcome to UC Today. We're here at Avaya Engage in Orlando, and I'm delighted to be joined by CEO Alan Masarek. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us.
My pleasure. Thanks.
How's the event going for you so far?
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Honestly, yesterday was epic. Here we are, it's sort of Tuesday morning of the event. Yesterday was just back to back to back, but unbelievable. Honestly, the big thing, the theme I asked everyone to come away with, or my hope, the takeaway was, undeniably, unquestionably, Avaya is back. And I think that came through in complete clarity yesterday.
Yeah, we'll get into some of the themes of the event in a second, but I'd like to kind of get you to reflect back on the last year or so, if that's okay. We first spoke to you when you were not long in the job. It's been almost 12 months, I think maybe 10 and a half, 11. How do you personally reflect on your time with Avaya so far?
So it's been a great journey. It's been super busy, as you know. So it's funny, we met, I started August 1st, and we had that first call, the first interview in Galway in Ireland, sort of towards the end of August. Since that point, we've gone through a massive financial restructuring, which has been super successful, cost right-sizing, but all the work that we've done on sort of the core business about resetting product strategy, the go-to-market strategy, resetting things around thematically what we refer to as innovation without disruption, organizing the company in support of those strategies, and then revitalizing the culture has really happened. Along the way, our customers and our partners have been unbelievably supportive. So Avaya is back. We're coming out the other side of this in a big hurry, and it's very exciting.
Yeah, I think you can feel that around the event. So let's move on to the last couple of days. What have been the big trends that you've been talking to customers about, and what have they been saying to you?
Well, it's interesting. When we talk so much about journey to cloud, what we speak to customers about all over the world is the journey to cloud it's not some monolithic journey. It's not some uniform journey. So some are going in whole, or far more are going in part. And they're not going at one time, they're going very gradually, if at all. So what's come out really loud and clear is how innovation, cloud-delivered innovation, without requiring a disruption of the prem infrastructure underneath, has resonated brilliantly. And it's what's important to these customers. If you're a tiny customer, if you're 25 employees, you may go all the way to the cloud because the change management is very simple. If you're a really large company, a large complex deployment, particularly in sensitive industries like hospitals or regulated industries like banking or financial services or a governmental agency or certain geographies of the world, the level of business risk you would take by ripping out that voice plumbing is just too high. And so the notion of innovating slowly and gradually, but at the customer's pace, that's the key thing, has resonated really well. We've sort of completely refreshed the brand thematically around choose your journey. The point is, it's the customer's choice whether they want to stay on-prem, whether they want to go all the way to cloud, or some hybrid in-between state, which is different based upon your company, your industry, your geography, etc. So that has resonated really well.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to ask you about that because I think it did resonate well in your keynote. And I think people are a bit relieved that they can say, I don't want to go to the public cloud, but it's okay, and almost not be judged. And I think one of the customers you had on stage said a lot of his suppliers were going end of life on-prem and sort of pushing them. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that dynamic, because it does seem some vendors have perhaps been a bit pushy with this.
I think so, and I think the point is everything that we're doing at Avaya is customer in. You take an outside-in view. So that was the CIO at Wynn Resorts who made that statement during my keynote. And it's interesting, it's his decision. It's not the supplier's decision. He's the customer. So listen to the customer and let's create strategy that they need. So he referenced 70% of his vendors, his software vendors across a variety of categories are, wanting to push him all the way to, multi-tenant to cloud. It doesn't work in his environment. and again, his environment is his environment. It may work elsewhere. There are other, situations where, again, it needs to be gradual, but in a different way. So the whole notion is, let's take a customer-in approach. It's the customer to choose the journey. We want Avaya to be the customer's choice, helping them in that journey. And it distills down to innovation without disruption. Let me give you the innovation. Let me help you modernize without taking you through a disruptive path that you don't want to go down.
And let's stick with the customer for a second. Cloud's obviously a big one, but are there any other kind of challenges or pain points that they're talking to you about at this event, and how are you helping them sort of navigate those?
Well, there's lots of things that when you're trying to navigate change, there's challenges. And when you're trying to navigate change, let's say between a prem architected solution to a cloud architected solution, that also creates its share of challenges. And what everyone's looking for from us is how to do those migrations in ways that are least disruptive for the business. So for instance, we've rebranded our professional services. We call it Avaya Customer Experience Services. So the acronym is ACES. And we did that by design, very purposefully, because our team now are your advocates. They're there to help you almost as your cloud migration Sherpa, because the path can be difficult. Things can happen, even core routing between, skills-based routing in some of the existing solutions versus attribute routing in others. So it's just different. It is a path, but the idea is no one wants to go through and rip and replace and start over. They want to have a gradual path that gives them all the modernization that they need to take their business forward without triggering the disruption that's going to cause fundamental business risk.
So staying with the technology, I'd like to ask you a bit about UC, if that's okay. This has been a very CX-focused event, which makes sense with experience platform being so important. But I just wonder where UC fits into the overall Avaya vision.
So UC is super important, but I think about CX being where the market is going. And so communication companies in the past used to think of themselves sort of in silos as, I do UC for the knowledge worker, or I do contact center for the agent. I think it's converging, because the reason it's converging is because brands have to differentiate based upon customer experience. Now, what drives your ability to deliver a positive customer experience is you have to have that full life cycle of your customer. So think about what every business does. They go outbound to prospects, the BDRs do that. The salespeople turn some of those into customers. The customers come inbound to the agents, and then the account management or customer success organization goes outbound for upsell, renewal, engagement, things like that. Those interactions, which is the core of customer experience, are crossing the front of house agent and the back of house knowledge worker. So it has to be a converged solution on one system. Now, what's so interesting about the contact center is at its sort of core, it's routing technology. So what I just described on that flow, going outbound and turning them into customers who come inbound and go outbound again, that is routing. And so what's happening is that whole interaction with customers, from prospect through the whole life cycle of the customer, is now happening omni-channel, not just voice, not just digital, but across all channels. And it's crossing agent and back office knowledge worker. So contact center is so pivotal to that. I like to call it the heart, lung, and liver of that. But UC is a component of it. And so that's exactly the way we're designing our solutions.
Okay, great. I've just got one final question for you, Alan. We started by looking back over your first year or so in charge. I wonder, if we were having this conversation in 12 months' time, where would you like Avaya to be? Where do you envisage it being?
So, great question. I'll shorten it to only 6.5 months from now, because I've been thinking a great deal about this. So you and I are together, Tom, and we're clinking champagne glasses on New Year's Eve, the end of this year. I'm absolutely convinced you're going to look backwards and you're going to say, Avaya is a completely different company, meaning that it has has a completely revitalized culture. It is sort of back in every meaningful way. The products are coming out exactly the way we've sort of, articulated them to the customers. The customers now are sort of, driving growth with and for us. Partners the same. I think it's going to feel very, very different. So we've had to do a lot of foundational building, going back to when you and I first talked last August. A whole financial restructuring, a cost right-sizing, a resetting of strategy. But my sense is that flywheel, which we've gotten to start turning, is going to flip over in a very positive way in just 6 months. So when we clink those champagne glasses, I think we're going to be looking back and feel pretty good about where we are.
Alan, it's been great talking to you. I look forward to seeing you on New Year's Eve, perhaps a week or two after. But yeah, look forward to having that next chat.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.